Tonight, a highly anticipated report on the failed rebranding of Regina's tourism organization has revealed inadequate guidance and poor oversight on the project. Also, Premier Scott Moe has called 3 by-elections for August 10th to fill Legislative Assembly vacancies. Plus, more than 200,000 ladybugs have been released in Regina in an effort to keep trees and plants healthy.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, July 13th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. A long-awaited report into the bungled rebranding of Regina's tourism organization is now public. No senior officials are going to be punished, even though the report makes clear there was a lack of oversight during the Experience Regina debacle. Alexander Kwan brings us that story.
We're not Banff, we're not Victoria. We have to work hard, and now we're going to have to work harder.
Regina learned a tough lesson after a failed attempt to make the city sexy and edgy received immediate backlash. The name Experience Regina may have only lasted a month, but it drew international attention for the use of slogans like "Show us your Regina" and "The city that rhymes with fun," which critics said sexualized the city. A report concluded that the Regina Exhibition Association Limited, or REAL, failed to ensure there was proper oversight of the campaign.
This is all part of that perfect storm, but you have a turnover of seasoned leadership, both within tourism as well as within REAL. And so the very people that should have been there providing oversight, in my view, were not at the table.
George Cuff was paid $90,000 to prepare a report on the PR move. The conclusion? When Regina City Council moved Tourism Regina under REAL's control last summer, there was a failure to establish policies around its new responsibility. That lack of oversight meant senior officials, including CEO Tim Reed, had no knowledge of the sexualized slogans. Cuff blamed a mid-level employee for signing off on them without the proper authority. Board Chair Wayne Morski says even though the report found REAL is already overburdened with tasks, tourism will remain its responsibility.
There's a lot that was on our plate. When REAL accepted the responsibilities of taking over tourism, there was a discussion about it, but there was lots going on at the time. Obviously, we were not prepared to handle it as well as we thought we could.
No one is being fired over Experience Regina, and we're told no one resigned because of it either. REAL says it will start working to implement the report's recommendations, including how to prevent a similar situation in the future. A former board member of Tourism Regina and an outspoken critic of the rebrand says she's not impressed.
The world that I want to live in doesn't, need a policy written to say don't use offensive and sexist slogans as your marketing campaign for a city.
McLeod says tourism is how we sell ourselves to the world. She believes an organization that is well-funded and dedicated to doing it right needs to be in charge, rather than one that helped the city become lampooned across the globe. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
Premier Scott Moe has called by-elections to fill Legislative Assembly vacancies. Voters in 3 constituencies will choose their new MLAs next month. Adam Hunter has more.
Premier Scott Moe stood with the 3 Saskatchewan Party candidates running in the upcoming by-elections. Moe committed to holding all 3 contests at the same time. He says he waited until the last minute to call the by-elections to give candidates the time to prepare. Moe says the party will run on its growth agenda.
So the question in these 3 by-elections is quite simple. It's who is best to ensure that this strong growth can continue and that it's growth that works for everyone. Our government's record is quite clear on this front. We have more people living in Saskatchewan. There are more jobs available in Saskatchewan, and there are more opportunities available for Saskatchewan people. There's more investment in important government services that people in this province expect.
The 3 constituencies that need an MLA are Regina Coronation Park and its neighbor Regina Wall Shakers in the city's north end, and Lumsden Morris, which borders parts of the city and extends into the province's southwest. The by-elections were triggered by the resignations of Mark Docherty and Lyle Stewart and the death of Regina Wall Shakers MLA Derek Myers. Both the Sask Party and NDP have nominated candidates in all 3 constituencies. NDP leader Carla Beck has accused Moe of delaying the call to suppress the vote. Beck and her two Regina candidates met with the media this afternoon.
Scott Moe doesn't want to do the work. We do. And people are ready for a change. We plan to deliver that change. Saskatchewan people deserve leaders who work as hard as they do. Representatives who are focused on what matters to them, not serving their own self-interests. And we are ready to hit the ground running on day one.
Election Saskatchewan will be offering a mail-in option for voters for the by-election, and for the first time ever, voters will have 6 days to cast a ballot as part of a voting week. That will start on August 3rd and continue on the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th from noon until 8 p.m. The final day of voting will be August 10th. Polls will open at 9 and close at 8. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
A tentative deal has been reached in the BC port strike that's halted shipments for nearly 2 weeks. It comes after a federal mediator proposed recommendations to end the labor dispute between longshore workers and their BC maritime employees. About 7,500 dock workers walked out July 1st, stopping cargo in 30 BC ports, including Canada's busiest in Vancouver. The union had been pushing for higher wages and protection against contracting out work and automation. The city's Board of Trade estimates around 6,300 shipping containers are stuck aboard ships waiting to be unloaded. The dispute has been costing at least $500 million a day in disrupted trade. The 4-year deal has to be ratified by both sides, so details are not being released at this time. Some are calling it the new gold rush, the frenzy to stake claims for lithium, helium, and other so-called critical minerals. First Nations say they were pushed to the sidelines during a previous waves of resource development, and with billions at stake, they won't let it happen again. They're set to deliver that message to a powerful international audience tomorrow. Jason Warwick has more.
With these oil and gas wells, they're so close in proximity to our First Nations boundary that there should be some consultation.
Chief Ira MacArthur says he was shocked by a recent discovery. Those wells weren't just removing the oil directly below them. Operators were boring sideways under his First Nations land and draining its pool of oil.
We know for a fact that these wells all are horizontally drilled.
MacArthur and others are using new resource maps created by a First Nations research group. But the maps show more than just oil and gas. They also show claims and leases covering hundreds of square kilometers given by the province to private companies. They're looking to cash in on a modern-day mineral rush for lithium, helium, and other critical minerals needed in cell phones and electric cars.
Let's make no mistake, the billions and billions are here in the critical mineral mining industry.
The group's CEO says First Nations are being shut out once again, and they aren't going to sit back.
So we need to really work towards creating some parity, within our homelands here.
At Pheasant Rump, Chief MacArthur says they're prepared to fight this battle in the courts and elsewhere.
I mean, the history has shown that the provincial government doesn't consider us equal citizens here in Saskatchewan.
Some say international law, various Canadian court rulings, and the provincial government's own policy require consultation. The province insists it controls all natural resources, but says it will respect all treaty obligations. But this conversation extends beyond Saskatchewan. One First Nations chief has been invited to Washington, D.C. for meetings Friday with corporate leaders and White House officials. His message for them? If you want to get your hands on critical minerals, you need to partner with First Nations. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
On the heels of hiring a new GM and VP of hockey operations, the Regina Pats have named their new head coach. Brad Haroff will be the 43rd person in that role in franchise history. They didn't have to go very far to find him. The Regina-born product has been the team's assistant coach since 2015. Before that, Haroff was the head coach of the Regina Pat Canadians from 2013 to 2015. He says that being a hometown guy can be a blessing and a curse when it comes to wins and losses, but he's excited for the road ahead.
I don't think I'm a good cop, bad cop. I think I'm a person that's going to tell you the truth. And I think that I build relationships with people so I can tell them the hard truths. You know, we're in a performance-based business, so there's performance that goes along with trying hard. So I think with me, I think the biggest thing is just being myself.
The times of screaming and yelling and throwing Gatorade jugs around the dressing room is long gone. and I think that's an area that Brad has a real good footprint on with his players, and he will take that to another level as head coach. There's certainly a time and place to challenge the players, but I like what I've seen in terms of the relationships he's built with our players so far.
Before joining the Pats, Haroff played in the SJHL, then 8 seasons of minor pro hockey. A search is underway to fill the assistant coach role left vacant by his promotion, and they'll need to quickly fill that role as training camp starts in late August. Saskatoon's new baseball team has a name, but it's not the Cobra Chickens, the Bridge Pigeons, or the River Pirates. Instead, the Saskatoon Berries was a home run. Sask Entertainment Group let fans choose the new name through social media. The Saskatoon Berries won the popular vote. The Berries will play in the semi-pro Western Canadian Baseball League, which is comprised of collegiate-level players. The team will play next May, and in the meantime, the Baseball Diamond will get an upgrade.
Not only baseball fans, we want to get average fans that want to just come out and watch baseball and enjoy a nice summer evening. We're upgrading the concessions here. We'll have Dole Whip, we'll have different hot dogs and all that stuff. Everything baseball type ready to go, and I think it'll be a great night out for a lot of people.
The Berries team mascot and colors should be revealed by the end of the month. Well, a live look now at a cool attraction visiting Regina. It's called Beyond Van Gogh, and if it looks familiar, the exhibit did visit Saskatoon a couple years ago. It's totally immersive and features the works of Van Gogh set to music. It's set up in the International Trade Center over at Real District until mid-August, so lots of time to check it out. Ethan will have your forecast from there after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The gates are open and the Country Thunder Music Festival is back in Craven. Tonight, Alberta's High Valley will take the stage in the beer gardens to kick off the music. But when the Concert Bowl opens up tomorrow, fans will notice some improvements to the site, but also some new features, including the Sask Music Songwriter Showcase. It's a chance for fans to get up and close and personal with some popular Saskatchewan musicians.
Yeah, to bring in that layer of local talent and all of these amazing artists in Saskatchewan, especially putting a focus on the songwriters and the people who tell the stories, was a really great addition. To add in Jess Moskaluk, Dwayne Steele, some of the guys from Northern Pikes to kind of bolster it up and work in conjunction is an extra thrill. And they'll be playing some songs and then talking about where those songs came from. And it's a cool new thing, and we can't wait for people to see it.
Jess Moskaluk will also take the main stage on Saturday night ahead of Alberta's Brett Kissel and country superstar Tim McGraw. Organizers plan to announce their big headliner for 2024 on Saturday night, and the festival wraps up on Sunday with Keith Urban.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Employee pricing is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now from the International Trade Center over at Real District. How is Beyond Van Gogh?
Well, it is beyond your wildest dreams, Sam, for sure. We're taking a look right now at some self-portraits of Van Gogh in here, and there's over 300 pieces of artwork from Van Gogh that you can see here projected on the walls, on the floor. You can even read a little bit about him through some interactive panels in another part of this exhibit as well. And, I got to say, I'm glad I'm going on location inside at an exhibit like this tonight, because outside it is smoky. Let's take a look now at some of those air quality advisories that are now in effect in the province, and those extend all the way from near La Loche through the Buffalo Narrows and Meadow Lake areas down to including Regina and Saskatoon, really much of south and central Saskatchewan seeing those advisories, and as a result, the air quality health index going up. Here's a look at where the index will be tonight and tomorrow, and again in Saskatoon we're really looking for a level 10 out of 10 tonight, and then tomorrow that smoke really shifting mostly into southern Saskatchewan, and that is where we will still remain in a high rating. So you're going to want to limit your time outdoors, especially if you're in Regina and the south. But even still in other parts of the province, smoke will be lingering, and a reason that we're seeing that smoke, of course, is the winds. Still very breezy at this hour through really all of the province. We saw gusts close to 60 kilometers an hour this afternoon. A few rogue thunderstorms also popping up in the south. We had some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect a little earlier today. Those have come to an end. But what's causing all of this wind and the smoke and all of this is this stagnant area of low pressure on the Manitoba coast of Hudson Bay. And that is really just going to be hanging on for the rest of the week here, likely bringing through some showers to the north tonight, possibly some pop-up showers again tomorrow in south and central Saskatchewan, non-severe for the most part, and then finally getting some clearing as we head into the weekend. Our thunderstorm outlook for tomorrow shows just a minor risk again through much of the province, but boy, it will be windy again. Looking for those gusts in the 50 to 60 range in the south tomorrow. And then as we head through the day on Saturday, we'll still be seeing those gusts hang on as that low pressure system does too. And the smoke building into the south tonight, we'll be seeing that really start to take hold. Even in west central Saskatchewan by tomorrow morning, there could be some really dense plumes. And that low pressure system, that northwesterly flow, still going to be tapping into quite a bit of that forest fire smoke in northern Alberta still, even as we head into the weekend. So for Regina, if you are headed to the Rider game on Saturday, likely going to be smoky and a little bit cooler as well, but temperatures will increase as we head into the beginning of next week. Saskatoon, again, a couple of smoky days here. Temperatures will begin to increase, but even still breezy heading into the beginning of next week. But finally, some rain, Sam, possibly coming to that part of the province, which really needs it. But if you're looking to get out of the smoke, here at Beyond Van Gogh is the place to be. It's a gorgeous exhibit.
All right, thanks, Ethan. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. The Assembly of First Nations is wrapping up what's been a dramatic annual meeting. It started with the ousted head of the organization trying and failing to get reinstated. Then there was a report that pointed to widespread sexual misconduct and abuse of power within the AFN. Today, members turn their attention to Manitoba and demand to search a landfill for the remains of 2 missing Indigenous women. Olivia Stefanovich reports.
We were going to call upon the Assembly of First Nations to
turned down by their own province. Manitoba First Nations leaders are turning their disappointment into motivation.
These daughters, the mothers, these are mothers that are missing, and we need to find them.
Calling on the Assembly of First Nations to formally urge Ottawa to fund landfill searches for missing First Nations women.
If we're not doing the work, then we're saying it's okay to Canada to find Aboriginal women in the landfills.
Get your truck out of here, man!
Tensions are rising after a man shoveled a truckload of dirt onto a mural for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, painted on the road leading to one of the landfills. Winnipeg police officers guarded the man's home after protesters gathered, leaving red handprints and signs, making sure their message is heard.
To open the floor.
The Crown Indigenous Relations Minister received a hand-delivered resolution, formally asking for his financial support.
Canada's willing to play a role.
But Mark Miller says he's looking for a commitment from Manitoba.
My question to Canadians is, what message are we sending to those women, to Indigenous peoples generally, when we say that a province can walk away and wash its hands of it?
It's very disheartening when you hear another woman say that they cannot look or find for our women that are in the landfill.
The Grand Chief of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs is calling for the Premier of her province to resign.
We shouldn't have to spend time trying to justify this to the governments.
But Manitoba First Nations leaders are not letting Ottawa off the hook either, and they reject Miller's claim that a search this summer is no longer possible.
If levels of government are not going to support the search, you are going to hear an outcry from not only the Indigenous community, but everybody.
The AFN formally endorsed a resolution asking for Canada's financial assistance. If First Nations leaders don't hear back by the end of the month, they say they plan to take their cause to the international stage. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Halifax.
Environment Canada has confirmed at least one tornado touched down in the Ottawa area this afternoon. One person suffered minor injuries and dozens of homes were left damaged.
The wind came, just the noise was, I can't describe it. The noise was incredible, absolutely incredible. And the rain was coming in, glass everywhere, bits of roof coming down inside, insulation, and then this just like the war zone. So the only way you can kind of describe it, it was horrifying.
Here's a look at video of the twister that touched down in Barrhaven, about 20 kilometers from downtown Ottawa. A severe thunderstorm hit the area just before the twister arrived, bringing heavy rain and hail.
Well, thankfully, it is not the severe storms that we are seeing here, but unfortunately, we will still be having to deal with smoke, especially in Regina overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, where those northwest winds will once again be picking up as we head toward the afternoon. Those will be getting close to 50 kilometers an hour again, still hazy, highs topping out probably around 23 degrees or so, and that's a pretty similar story in Saskatoon tonight, where those northwest winds will continue to gust. The Air Quality Health Index still expected to be in that moderate high rating by 8 a.m. and by the noon hour, still hazy, but mostly sunny skies. May see a thunderstorm or two in south and central heading into tomorrow afternoon. Gotta say, Sam, very inspiring exhibit here at Beyond Van Gogh in Regina, maybe even inspiring the future Van Goghs out there as well.
Oh, I love to hear it. Thanks, Ethan. And before we leave you tonight, the City of Regina held a family fun day in Victoria Park, all in the name of ladybugs. The critters were handed out to residents as a way to help keep trees healthy in an organic way. There was also face painting, a fire truck, cookies, and a lot of smiles.
They're just here. You get a lot of ladybugs.
Ladybugs have caught the imagination of people over time, and when we started to say that, hey, you want to come get some ladybugs and sort of thing, it took off, you know.
You want to talk about ladybugs? Well, my dad said that they're going to be like releasing ladybugs, but I think there's just like a bunch of lines where you can like, there's like a fire truck, and then you can get like some ladybugs, and there's like cookies and stuff.
They crawl on their red.
Yeah, do you love the color red?
Yeah.
What else have you been doing today that's so much fun?
Like planting the seeds of the ladybugs that are, if you grow the seeds, they're going to be flowers.
We have 30% of our trees are roughly elm trees here. We notice, you know, when it comes to our elms, we get a lot of aphids and that kind of predatory insect on our elm trees. And this is just one way that we do to help protect some of our trees. So we do a program where we release the ladybugs using our residents actually and teaching them all about what ladybugs can do for eating aphids.
Can you tell me a fact about ladybugs? What do you know about them?
They have black dots. Every dot of them, that's how old they are.
I'm having lots of fun.
You're having lots of fun? Can you tell me about your face paint I see you have?
It's a butterfly.
A butterfly? Do you like butterflies?
Yeah.
Do you also like ladybugs?
Yeah.
What do you love about ladybugs?
Because it has the color of red, which is love.
Color red is the color of love?
Yes.
That's beautiful, Daniel.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan and I will be back with more local news and weather at 11. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.